Hey everyone, I'm Wah, and Chris is not here. But we are two long friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries. Yes, but through our own lens. And that lens could be a collaborative lens, that lens could be a social media lens, that lens could be a StreamYard lens. You know what I mean? Whatever kind of lens you're thinking of, that's the kind of lens we're going to put it through. But today, do have a very special guest. It is Jon and Tereza from the Married to Reality podcast. They do 90 Day Fiance. You know them. They're here. They're in the crew. They're in the 90 Day Fiance world of podcasting. Jon and Tereza, thank you for being here.
Hello. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for having us.
Through
Absolutely.
an infidelity lens today.
Yes, it's great. You guys are a married couple, so you could help me like navigate this because I'll give you a little backstory about this. I never cared about this at all. Like knew what was happening. I never cared because I feel like that's people's business. I don't know if the wife knows. I don't know if the husband knows. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I've never heard of the story. So like when we saw it on Netflix, John is like, "You don't know about Ashley Madison." I'm like, "Who's Ashley Madison?" But then I watched it. I was like, "Oh my god." Let me see if John was on it to begin with, but
Tereza watched this entire docuseries with one eye on the TV screen and one eye on me. I remember where I was when this story broke. That hot July summer. I remember exactly where I was.
It was right before we met. So if you were on it, by all means.
I was not. Let's just clear my name right now. I was not.
He's there. He's like wanting to help a cuckold couple. Like, that's so funny. Well, tell us a little bit about your podcast and your socials, where everyone can find you.
Yes. So we are Jon and Tereza, a married couple. We host the podcast Married to Reality. We are an international couple. I don't know if you could hear from my wife's accent. She's from the Czech Republic. So we got into podcasting because we're obsessed with 90 Day Fiance. And yes, we'll be able to speak about this Ashley Madison thing from a married couple's perspective. And we get to speak about 90 Day Fiance from an international couple's perspective. So that's how we got into podcasting. And we cover Married at First Sight. On Patreon, we're covering Love in Paradise. So check us out there if you're interested in our thoughts on Love in Paradise. And we're on social media on Instagram at Married to Reality Pod. Tereza, anything I've missed?
You've said it all.
I've said it all, as I tend to do.
Great. All right. So today, you guys were talking Ashley Madison, Sex, Lies, and Scandals, episode 2, featuring, we just said, Married to Reality. Now, the name of this episode is We Got Hacked. And it's like, no, you guys got a little bit more than hacked. I feel like you guys got just like busted open like a piece of fruit left on the ground too long and ants got into it.
You got screwed.
Yeah, you got screwed over. And this episode is more about the aftermath of what happened after and like how they managed it. They being Ashley Madison's executive team, how they managed it up until the giant data breach. And the point of view from the documentary is to show the kind of morality bit around, because the first episode, I would say, we showed the morality bit about people cheating, people having an affair, people who took a vow doing this thing. And then this one is more sort of the morality of the way the media handles it and like where the way people get excited about like information and how they attack things. So I thought that was interesting from a documentary point of view. As we know, most of these documentaries do have a point of view that I feels like the director is trying to get across to us. And so we have this intro, and it's the YouTube videos of Sam and Nia. And it's like, shh, I'm going to do a prank on my wife. And so he puts jelly on the door handle of the refrigerator in order to get her to then turn around and go to the sink. And when she turns on the sink, he's going to spray water on her. And I think you have to be a specific person, and it has to be a specific time and place for those two things to have happened to me for me to be okay with it, because my normal reaction would have been like, who the fuck put jelly on the door handle? Call one of them kids over and is like, go get a towel. You made a mess. Like, clean
Don't be naive. These two know exactly what's going on. This is not good looking couple pranks each other. No, they're in it together. The whole thing is a farce. They're doing everything they can to go viral on YouTube. It's not a surprise to Nia.
Well,
Yeah.
no,
It's a surprise to me that America falls for this garbage.
well, this is in 2015, like when the family vlogger like sphere was just growing. Okay, so little backstory about me is that I was doing YouTube. I started in 2007, and then when it first launched, and then I did like for a year, I did cupcake adventures where I'd go and buy different cupcakes, specifically red
Oh.
velvet, from different places that sold cupcake, and I would taste them and do a review on them. But then my friends started to get really involved, and anytime I would go visit anybody, I'd always have my Sony Cybershot with me. And I would take my old ass camera and I would go to their homes and they'd be like, I have a cupcake for you, so that we could do cupcake adventures. And then I moved to New York City and I did cupcake adventures in New York City. So like, and then I stopped, depression, moved to a new city, was by myself, like couldn't do it. So stopped and then joined back YouTube, and I think in 2013. So, and tried to get into the beauty portion of it, didn't make it, failed beauty influencer here. And so I remember when their love is an open, like their whatever, love is an open door like thing blew up. And so they were just among the throngs of folks, except for their edge was not only white, their edge was that they were Christian. And so it was cute. They were trying to like really get into this like vlogging world. The husband, as we know from episode 1, needed this excitement in order to feel like good about his life. And so I do see what you're saying, that it feels like fake. And it was like, I mean, could you imagine a woman is like, oh my God, I loved doing YouTube. I loved him vlogging. He actually helped me around the house.
Yeah. Honestly, like this was definitely fake. I feel like if you want to prank someone, like prank someone, this was the dumbest shit ever to begin with. I didn't know about him because I feel like I was already living in the US at 2015, 2014, yeah, for about 4 to 5 years, but I never paid attention to things like this. Like I watched this stuff on TV, but I wasn't big on YouTube. I think I got into YouTube like in the past maybe 5-6 years that I started watching stuff on YouTube. But these two idiots, honestly, they lost me when they labeled the video "good-looking couple singing Frozen."
Good-looking parents.
Yeah, good-looking
Good-looking
parents singing
parents.
Frozen was the name of the video, and I'm like, you two just lost me. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Oh my
That's
gosh.
that's the mindset of this guy. It's not just, he's so full of himself. He wants so much attention that he goes and he titles this thing "Good-Looking Parents." Stop it, I'm out.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, what an astute. Yeah, I didn't even notice that. That's so funny. Okay, the next thing that they do, which we could go a little bit out of like chronological here, is like not only is he now helping her do shit around the house, so she's really grateful for YouTube for help getting her husband to fucking help her around the house, but also the Christina, cut this. I'm losing my train of thought. What is the other thing that they did?
The pregnancy test?
Yes. Ew. The pregnancy test. That was so gross to me. Like,
So
listen,
gross.
some people, listen, I know if it's yellow, it's mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. And I get that. And it's fine in practical application because I think it saves fishes or the water somewhere, right? But I don't want to see it on YouTube. I don't want to see it in actual practice.
I don't either. And it's like, here's my point. Is that even legit? Like, okay, let's say she peed. She's a gross person. She doesn't flush the toilet, sits there for a little bit. It's mixed with water. It's mixed with a shit ton of water that goes down the toilet. How
Toilet
is that
paper.
even real? How is
Yeah.
it even real? Honestly, he definitely faked this. Because
what
when
I'm-
he like showed it to her, he's like, look at my pocket and touch all the pee from the toilet on this little thing. She goes like, you're so funny. You're so funny. You brought a real, what is it called?
Pregnancy test?
Positive pregnancy test. Come on.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm just so gullible. Krista tells me this all the time. She's like, that's fake. And I was like, oh, was it? Yeah.
Maybe the little sink prank was real. I don't think it was, but maybe that one
The
was.
good-looking parents.
That was fine. But they were in on that together. But you're gonna tell me really you went in with a dropper in the toilet, got some used urine, put it on a test, and surprised your wife? He was like, "Oh, it was always my dream to be able to tell my wife she was pregnant before she knew." Shut up.
Also, how did you know it was her
Unsubscribe.
urine? How did you know it was her? Maybe it was his urine. But probably wasn't if it was. Yeah. It's like, how? Like, did you wait for her to pee and then you hope that she didn't flush?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They just want to go viral. They do everything they can to go viral.
But they did go viral. That's like the crazy thing. They get like millions of views.
Yeah,
And, like,
because they were showing families what it looks like to live for the Lord
Exactly.
with
It was
Pete.
they were viral in a niche community, which is
Mhm.
why I don't think it infiltrated my Jewish household.
So yeah, so then it skips to as you guys know, it jumps back and forth between the story of Ashley Madison and then these random stories of people affected by Ashley Madison. And then they pick this like very loving couple who's seemingly divorced or whatever because they're not in the same space during their confessional scenes. But anyway, so we go back now to the executives and the day of the hack, the lady who's in her mind helped save a lot of marriages by not telling the wives what this credit card was used for. She then goes into work and she's told not to get on any computers, and the executives are talking and like who's the impact team, and Noel, who is the CEO, is pissed because he was planning on taking the company public. So they decide as a company to do no press and to do no police in order to protect the IPO or protect the fact that this business was going to go public. And so what Noel does is he calls in a specialist from Sweden, and in pops Joel Eriksson, which is the coolest fucking looking hacker I have ever seen in my life. This guy, like, hot, and so he's a computer genius, and then he shows us like the next wave of technology that none of us has gotten yet, which is sunglasses that I guess he can lay back with. Normally they don't fit well if he sits up, but normally he lays back on his back, I guess, typing with a computer board on his like groin, just typing away at like DOS, you know what I mean? Just like black screen, green writing.
Those are what Google Glasses wish they could be.
Yeah, he's definitely so cool. He reminds me of, like, I don't know if you watch How I Met Your Mother. We are like big fans, but there was one of the architecture firm in How I Met Your Mother. Their names was Sven, and they were these Swedish architects, and he looks like one of them.
Yeah.
The first thing I saw was like, oh my gosh, it's Sven from How I Met Your Mother.
This is who you would cast as the hacker in the movie. He fits the part perfectly.
So Joel then calls his good friend Andre, and they flew to Canada to help. And then the next vignette we get is this very sweet woman with beautiful silver hair and like looks like fun style in some kind of old, colonial home, which I was like, oh, I love wood. I love everything that's happening behind her. And basically they bring her in another Christian. It's weird that they keep pulling Christians.
I didn't want to make that point, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah, they keep pulling in like Christian couples who this affected. And then the non-Christian couples is like a dominatrix, like crazy woman who couldn't help but cheat on her husbands over and over again. So anyway, so we have her. She's lovely. She talks about meeting her husband Jon, and the fact is that we never see Jon, so we know by the second time we see her that Jon doesn't exist anymore, and it's unfortunate. But so she comes in, she talks about how she knew her husband was up to no good at all times, but she's too demure and quiet to, really do anything about it. She's like, why do I need to know if like I'm not going to do anything? They wrote love letters to each other with the best looking fountain pens. What did you think of that? Like dramatization of those fountain pens?
I used to have those pens. Like my grandpa have them, and we in school, maybe, I don't know if it's because I'm from the Czech Republic or it shows my age, but like we had to write with those pens, first, second, third grade. They were freaking bleeding through pages. Like it was awful, but we had to write with those pens, and we had to write cursive.
With a pen with an actual ink well?
Yeah. The ink is on the inside. It's like the little ink bomb.
Yeah.
That you have to be replacing. Yeah, we had to write ink.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
I was allowed to have like a regular pen on maybe 6th, 7th grade.
That's beautiful.
But they were selling them for like kids. So like mine had like a Winnie the Pooh on it. So and it was the same thing. Like we had to write. We had to learn how to use like a real ink.
That is so cute. They give American kids like a lead pencil and tell them to have a nice day,
Yeah, the mechanical pencil, that was the greatest thing I ever saw.
Yeah. So the fact that you got to learn cursive and, whatever. It's so funny. So she then just talks about how they wrote these beautiful love letters to each other. And she ended up finding out that he had cheated on her at some point, which she ignored. But the person sent letters to her husband, and she was upset because that was their thing. And I was like, you're worried about the wrong things, ma'am.
Yeah. I think it comes back to like people, and again, I'm not religious. I don't judge anyone whether you are or not. That's your own thing. But I think a lot of people who are religious sometimes take these things and say, "Oh, but God makes me with this person for a reason, so I'm going to ignore it." Then these people end up on Ashley Madison or Dateline. I mean, for me, if I found out that Jon did something, that would be like, "Hey, like this is it. Like let's part our ways. Like you are clearly unhappy." And that's it. And that's how that's how I see things. I would not be trying to find ways like, oh, we're together for a reason, and now he fucked up, and now I have to be the good wife. Be like, oh, no.
But divorce, I think, I mean, I'm not religious, but divorce is looked at as a sin. And so, yeah, you probably don't want to get a divorce when you're in these circles. And so it's just easier for you to fulfill your fantasies and find happiness extramaritally instead of getting divorced. And so, yeah, you end up on Ashley Madison.
Yeah.
Not good.
It actually
Jon
depends.
did, yeah.
What? It actually,
not you, this Jon.
Jonathan H.
Jonathan H.
Jon.
Yeah. You know that that's one of the things that kind of pushed me away from the church. So I grew up religious, like Christian, Black Christian, which is they don't actually say it's a different thing, but it is a different thing. And within Black Christians, there's different denominations. So I grew up in the AME church, and within these churches, there's always this through line of like the woman needs to kind of make room in her life for the man, and that, you know, if he's unhappy, she needs to try to do something to kind of make him happy, or God put this person in your path, and so therefore you have to make it work. And there's a through line of suffering, right? There's a through line of the expectation of a Christian to be able to withhold and withstand a certain amount of suffering because God has willed it. And that's when I was like, I feel like that's weird. I feel like, do we have to suffer? Why do we have to suffer? Like,
right.
So, and so that's what it felt like she was doing. And Nia, the same way, you know, she kind of completely disassociated herself when she was like, this is your problem, you fix it. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm a super wife. But anyways, so back to Christy. So she, then the breach happens, and she's like, my husband's name is probably on this shit, but I'm not going to figure out how to find out if he's on this or not. So, okay, like, if it let it be, let it be.
Yeah. She tried. She tried.
And I think, like, from my understanding of this, at the beginning when they released all the names, you had to go like to the dark web to like search for the names somehow. But eventually they said people started making websites that made it very easy to just type the name in, and then you see whether you're a loved one or a friend or whoever is on it or not. But I feel like when she was doing it, it wasn't as easy, so she gave up.
And Christy made the point, which I do agree with her. She's like, those were the real evil people, the people who were taking this information, making it so easy for everyone else to find, because they think, oh, I'm so self-righteous. I'm gonna air all these people's dirty laundry. It's like, look in the mirror. You probably have committed some sins too. So you're out there ruining people's lives because you think you're holier than thou. That's not the case. So those people really did cause a lot of people some trouble.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I think that there are times when you need to mind your own business. And I think there are times when you shouldn't mind your own business. If someone is being hurt or harmed, like a child, or, you know, blood and like whatever, then yes. But in this case, like, yeah, I think you can make an argument that people are being hurt and harmed, but you're not in that relationship. You're not even somebody who, like, a friend of someone who's in that relationship. You're just, you know, and even the morality of the journalists who were like, do we do anything with this information? And like, there was a little bit of the one journalist that they had who said that, okay, if there's something on here that the public needs to be aware of because maybe it's a public figure doing something. But even then, I truly don't feel I should be in anybody's business, like between their spouses. Like, I don't need to know who's anyone's fucking. I don't need to know unless they're hurting the person that they're fucking.
Yeah, they made the point there was 15,000, I think, .gov military emails.
Yeah.
And the only thing
Hunter Biden,
well, which he denies. The only thing I can see is if it becomes a national security issue, where if it's a high up .gov official, and all of a sudden now we're going to blackmail this government official, so that, all right, if you don't do what I say, we're going to let out these secrets. Now it becomes a security threat. Yes. So that's when I can see making it public.
I mean, not to even skip ahead, but just thinking about this, they gave them 30 days to shut it down. All they had to do was to shut it down. And wait, they didn't.
Greed, Teresa.
Yeah, so it's not even like they got hacked and immediately all these names are starting like coming out ruining people's lives. They had 30 days and they did nothing.
Yep. It's crazy. It's crazy when you see that. So with Christy, she says 6 days after the breach, she woke up, she smelled coffee. It was days, normal day. She talks with Jon over a cup of coffee, goes to work, has a great day, comes home, a friend meets her up. This is like such a very quaint story. She's like, yeah, a friend just met me at my door. That does not happen in my world. Like if a friend met me at my door, I'd be like, oh my God, are you okay?
I smelt the flowers on the trees in that story. Like she really painted a beautiful picture. It didn't end beautiful.
They kept showing that like Edwardian Victorian home with the like wraparound porch in Louisiana. I was like, oh God, I want to go. Where is that? Is that a bed and breakfast? Yeah. Yeah. And so she says that she's talking to a friend and the friend was like, hey, your phone is ringing or something's going off. And so she's like, okay, I'll talk to you later. So she goes in the house, doesn't see Jon, is looking for him. He should be home. And then she up, down, left, right, looks for him. And finally she goes to the garage and she goes into the garage and she heard the carbon monoxide alarm going off. And it looks like that he had, killed himself using the car and, however people do it with the car and the exhaust. And so she said it was like one of the worst days of her life. And that is where she did say that she blames those people who needed to the shame and secrecy around the way Jon moved and the way he felt about it, because Jon was a teacher at a seminary. He is the third in line of like pastors. Like he's his grandfather, his father, pastor. So he's like entrenched in their church and their community so much. And so yeah, when he killed himself, like that kind of rocked the community and everybody showed up at their house, and his employer had to tell her, the men at the seminary, that that his name was named as Ashley Madison, and he broke down and cried in front of them, and that he tenured his resignation as is what was needed, and that he went home and did the deed. So it's just like the aftermath kind of showing like how, and I'm like, yeah, like I'm pretty sure there were more people who did things like that to themselves or like had even worse consequences happen to them because of being on the show, being their name being released, spouses fighting each other. Like it could have been a whole list of things going down that these morality police felt like, haha, that's what you get. No.
Yeah. I wonder if his employers felt bad because he did that because they told him, they found out he was on Ashley Madison, and the next thing he went home and he killed himself. I know it's super sad, but I feel like if you want to do something like this, you're taking your own life. Like he killed himself in their own home. Like don't you want to think about your wife? Like she's gonna find you in your own home. She's gonna probably end up living there because I don't know this money situation, right? That's so awful. The whole story is awful, but like having your wife find you in your home dead because you were on a cheating side, that's just a whole new level of awful.
I don't think he really cared much about Christy. I mean, he was cheating on her for years. He was on Ashley Madison. I don't think he was considering her thoughts and feelings. And now he is just one more ghost living in that home because, guys, that home is haunted. And so he's just among the
before he killed himself.
He's among the other ghosts in that home now.
Yeah, he is. And walking down the street, there's ghosts. Like they're everywhere. So no, I agree. I don't think that he was thinking of her. I think that he was, thinking of himself and the shame he felt for whatever his sexual desires were, that he could not bring home to his wife. And I think, again, that's rooted in religion. That's rooted in the, like, you can't be who you are, who you want to be, because so much is restricted and you have to live under these, like, strict rules, which are strict to some and not strict to others. It just depends on how you want to move through the world. So we then, after we talk about that, we go to them in their Clinton room. That's their like war room
Love the names. I mean, that and the Minister of Affairs.
The Minister of Affairs. Yes. So it's funny because Canada is like to me an interesting mix between like English stuff and American things. And like New World, I guess we could say New World things, like the way that they spell like center, it'll be CENTRE, and it'll just be like interesting things that you're like, oh, the Queen's on your money. oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is how things are. Okay, cool, great. I forgot. I just think you guys are like America's light, but like a mix or whatever. So they're in the Clinton room. It's their command center, and the hackers are looking for the first clue. First of all, the hackers had to tell the Ashley Madison folks to stand down and stop deleting shit because they needed to go through it to like find the clue. But the first clue they went with is the actual title of the threat or the message on everyone's laptops and computers for Ashley Madison. And so, they go back and they do a little research or whatever, and they find out that it was probably this person who was a contractor who is shrouded in mystery. And I'm like, isn't this a documentary about the hack? Are you gonna not give us more information?
It was interesting because, that first clue, the screen that took over everyone's computer, it made it clear this is not about money and not about recognition. They weren't trying to they weren't holding this information ransom. It was more of an ideological attack. So that sort of led them on their first clue of like, okay, is this a disgruntled customer? Is this a wife or a husband, someone who found out? And not to jump ahead, but like the fact that they had very little information on the person who did this hack was concerning.
So concerning. Yeah, so that was interesting. And then 7 days later, I think the Impact team was like, oh, they're not going to do shit about this, so let's leak it to the media. So they leak it to the media, and the media goes hog wild. And that's the part that I remember is the media going hog wild. And they're like, 37 million users, 37 million users are affected. 37 million users are affected. And so then, like, that's when the people who were customers and who were still using Ashley Madison start calling, and the phone starts ringing off the hook, and they don't know what to say. But that one lovely lady just feels so sorry for everybody whose lives have been blown up. She's had such an interesting perspective the whole time. And so then we go back to the couple, the Raider couples, and Sam has seen the headline on Yahoo and he ignores it because he's like, nah, they'll never pick me. Like, nah, it can't be. And
he wishes he was popular enough to be in the headline.
He's like, who me? But so finally, when the police got involved, Ashley Madison were being really secretive with the police. They by then they had already they met with the hacker themselves, trying to just buy the guy off, and the guy was like, no, I didn't do it. I don't know what you're talking about. And then by the time the police get involved and talk to the guy has already lawyered up, and so they couldn't go anywhere with that line of questioning because of that. That was vague to me as to why.
Yeah, but I almost feel like if someone did it for like moral reasons, didn't want money, it could have been them. Because I feel like if he took the money, then it's like, oh my gosh, it's you, or it's a random person that's greedy and you're gonna get caught. So
yeah, it was. So they had one suspect who the Swedish hackers, the Swedes, like dialed into the fact that someone entered the servers using this old employee login, and it was this guy's, and so they met up with a duffel bag of money for coffee, and he was just like, he seemed sketched out, like, right, he seemed nervous, but he didn't admit to it. And so I don't know, that's the closest lead they got at this point, and I kind of think the Swedes may have gotten it right. Like, it seems like it could have been him. But yeah, he didn't accept the money, and he got a lawyer, which it's a little suspicious.
Yep.
I mean, if someone's accusing you of hacking a big company, like, you should get a lawyer.
Yeah.
Like,
you're right.
Just in case.
That does seem like a great idea. So at this point, they're chasing their tails, trying to figure out like who did what. And then they decided they're just going to play chicken with the Impact team. They decided they're just going to run down the 30 days clock and see what they do. And they did it. They did indeed do it. Now, the thing that's also interesting that came out of this was the fact that there were a contingent of people who were like, we have the list and you're on it. Give us $50,000 to remove your name.
Right.
And so that became that whole industry of like folks taking advantage of folks. And I could imagine some people making a lot of money off of that.
Oh, for sure. It's with everything. It's literally with COVID. When COVID happened, there were people saying, oh, we came up with this pill, take it and you won't get COVID. It's like, what? It was like
Yeah.
social media, the internet was full of it. Like there are always people who try to make money off of any situation.
We binged the whole thing in one sitting. So I don't know if this was episode 1, 3, what I'm about to say, but so there was the scam on the scam of people being like, okay, we have the names, we can take your name off if you pay us. Ashley Madison was doing that. Ashley Madison had $19.99 charge on the website, like pay us $20 and we'll make sure your name is like private, right?
That's crazy. Yeah,
And
that did not happen in episode 2, but
that wasn't real. They weren't doing anything. They were getting the $20 and just not deleting people's accounts, not deleting people's names or anything. So it was just scam after scam after scam.
oh my God, that shit is wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. So we then cut to the family bloggers, and they're on their way to a convention. And he sees it in the airport that his name is on Twitter by an anonymous source. So he, you know, girl, Nia is hungry. Okay. They're at the Chili's in the airport, and she is like, I haven't eaten at 6 p.m. What are you getting? I'm getting the egg rolls. I don't know what anyone, but let's go. Garcon, can we order? So like Sam is so like, you know, he's into his phone, and she's annoyed that he's on his phone. She didn't say it, but that's how she felt. I know how she felt. So she was annoyed, and then finally he's like, I've got something to tell you. And he then tells her that he was on it 2 years ago, that he didn't do anything, he didn't go nowhere, he didn't see nobody. And I'm like, that's a lie.
That is a lie for sure.
And this is not a Chili's conversation. This is this is a Cracker Barrel conversation.
Thank you.
Maybe an Applebee's conversation. This is not a Chili's conversation.
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah.
He ruined Chili's for her. Plus, he ruined food for her. Like, I love food, and when I eat, I want it to be a positive experience. Like, don't tell me bad stuff when I'm eating. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get even more upset because you just ruined it for me.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
one dinner a day, and you just ruined it for me.
Yeah, her baby back ribs were not going to
Yeah.
taste the same. And so he tells her that they get on the plane. Nia's pissed, but she's already decided to forgive him because he didn't do anything and he didn't go nowhere. He just signed up. And so she's like, well, you know, I'm a good wife, but maybe there's some things that sexually he's not comfortable telling me, and I need to figure out what this is. So then they go to the convention, and while they're there, his name goes everywhere. Like there are media outlets reaching out to him. There are articles being written, and they're all coming out at the same time. And they say that people at the convention are starting to look at them as they like walk through. So Nia's pissed because she's like, I didn't even do anything, and people are staring at me.
Yeah.
This asshole.
It's funny. It's like he thinks he's so famous, but all the article says the guy who found out his wife is pregnant from peeing in the toilet was on Ashley Madison. It's like no one's saying his name. It's like that's how little famous you are, bro.
I hope this is a lesson to every young couple out there. This is why you don't post a video of yourself lip syncing to Disney songs, because he would not be in this mess if it wasn't for that dumb lip syncing video.
Yeah. If it
No one
wasn't
would
for his need for a thrill. I think
Yeah.
he's a thrill seeker, that one.
There's not even that, like, John, like, sure, but I feel like don't get on websites like this. Like, if you're unhappy in your relationship, leave. Like, break up, have a conversation. And there are other people in the world, because I do believe that a lot of people are not matched properly. A lot of people settle, or they just feel like they can't do better, or they feel like, yeah, you know, dating is tiring. I'm just gonna stay with this person, and they're unhappy, and then they do shit like this. I feel
But
like if
also
you are
don't
unhappy, just break up and move on.
And also don't sing on YouTube. At least don't title it. At least don't title it "Good Looking Couple Sings."
Good looking
Oh.
couple is crazy. That's crazy. So then they get home, and they said that get back to the hotel, and they say that they're getting a lot of pressure from, like, you know, different people in their lives to come out with a video. So they go out in the video, and she's like, I stand by him, and he's like, yeah, guys, I did it. It was a shitty thing to do. We're, you know, those without sin cast the first stone, or some shit, like some Bible verse, and like whatever. And then afterwards, he's like, I knew that after I uploaded that I was phony. And he's just like crying, and I'm like, Sam, we do not feel sorry for you. Stop it immediately.
Yep.
Whatever. We do not feel sorry for you. So he, at this point, this is the second episode we've seen with Sam and Nia. and we're getting to the crux of it. It's like finally in episode 3, I guess they'll tell us what the hell he was actually doing, which I'm just gonna go on ahead and guess that he had a full-on girlfriend with another family. That's one guess. 2, he had a full-on girlfriend and maybe she was transgender and he felt some kind of way about it. He was cheating with men.
Wow. Only
Mhm.
God knows.
Okay. Boo. So at this point, you would think that the Ashley Madison website would then be taken down or everyone would stop using it. No. The other people just continue. The rest, the layman's, those who didn't have shit to lose, just kept on doing it. Just kept on.
It's like cigarettes. Like we all know it's bad. You have all the signs on cigarettes. Like in Czech, they actually put photos of dead people's lungs on it that who passed away, and it's like it's on it. Well, we just people peel off the label, and you keep smoking because you love it, and it's like a drug. You enjoy it, so this is the same thing.
And also, people just have this defense mechanism of like, not me. Nothing bad's going to happen to me. I'm invincible. They saw record traffic after the leak.
Yeah. No, the people who weren't upset were the people who actually didn't put their real name and their real emails and their real faces. So those people were chill. They were like, oh, good. But go on ahead and you do my fake email at fake.com.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, who's gonna put, like, if you're doing this, like, you sign up for a cheating website, why in the world would you put your real name, your real email, your real anything?
Yeah.
Foolish people. So that is the end of this. Oh, no, it's not the end. So the very, very end, Andre, one of the hackers that Ashley Madison hired, his mind is still open. He's like, listen, I'm an investigator at this point. I don't know. I'm not going to put any egg in one basket. He's like, I started to realize that because the hackers impact team did not actually want anything, and even when we offered them money they didn't take it. It seems like okay, but then he started to be suspicious of Noel, who is the CEO, and he's like, is Noel capable of doing something like this because of the record numbers and because of something that Evan said in episode 1, which is talk good about me, talk bad about me, but just continue talking about me. So it's very, very interesting that they leave us with the end of episode 2 where we now are like suspicious of everyone, including the CEO of Ashley Madison.
I love this train of thought because it crossed my mind too.
Oh, I'm so gullible. Nothing crosses my mind.
Oh, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist really by any means, but it's great publicity. As we saw, it drove record traffic. Noel is like the king of advertising, always trying different things, writing the different taglines, doing anything he could to get traffic, and this drove traffic. So I was like, that's a pretty good idea. If he did this to boost business, man, kudos to him.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if the business still sold, but they still had their board of directors or whatever at that point too. So well, that is the end of episode 2. Thank you so much, Jon and Tereza, for joining me. For those of you listening, if you would like to see the visuals of what you're listening to or support us as a podcast, you can join us on patreon.com/DocuSweeties for $10 a month. You get a live every first Monday of the month plus other goodies. So if you are interested in that, but mainly supporting us, please join us on patreon.com/DocuSweeties. And you can find Jon and Tereza on
Instagram at Married to Reality Pod. We're on Patreon as well, talking about love and paradise. And then the regular pod where we're talking about happily ever after is everywhere. Everywhere you listen to podcasts. And you're going to come talk about happily ever after with us, aren't you?
Yes, I am going to come talk about happily ever after. I'm so excited to do so.
All right. Can't wait.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.